morning, happy Friday, welcome to the Pit Stop. How you all doing out there in sim racing land? I thought I had gotten everything for today's show prepped, but I think I missed a thing or two, so I'm going to have to stay sharp and on my A game today to make sure we do cover everything that's going on or that I want to cover here on today's show. I'm not going to even turn this into a rant. This isn't a rant, it is just an observation. And you know, I wish more people would tune into the Pit Stop, and I really do wonder what the true engagement of the Twitter feed of various sim racing companies are. Because to go find the tidbits of news that are worthy of attention on this show, which basically means omitting esport, or sponsorship of real life series, it is really hard to find the news now. And I feel like we do a pretty decent job here of concentrating on the most important things going on in sim racing, updates, new products, things that you can, engage in yourself. And for me, maybe there's room for an esport channel. I'm not sure. Hey, Tom Jones. Hey, one more FPS. We are getting there $2 at a time. But, they add up. Eventually we get there. I do need to upgrade. I really do. Good morning, George Sandman. I'm glad you could make the show live. Ken Estep, you're already on the show. You guys can see the image, or it's actually a video that I have here. If you're part of our Discord, and there is a link in the description of the show below, you could join our Discord team and be a part of conversation of everything sim racing. But I did post a little teaser video of what went on last Friday. So here, I'm just going to play the video real quick for you to see. This is at Drive Sims, or Drive Simulations in Concord, California. That's Kenny pulling in front of me. I'm on the left, he's on the right. You can see his car right ahead of me there. I hope you guys can see that. I started loud. I had that very loud in my hair. I'm going to play it again. I don't think it's too loud for you guys. Hey, Flight is. Hey, Dan DiMaggio. So yeah, Ken and I had a really good battle, I think you could put it. We were battling for a good half an hour in those awesome sims there at Drive Simulations. That was just us getting ready for Gran Turismo. Excuse me. Any of you see Gran Turismo? It came out on the 25th, so about a week ago. A week ago today, I believe. Did you get a chance to see it? Do you have any interest in it? And I'd love your thoughts and opinions on it as I transition into the news, starting things off with what's going on at the sim pit itself. Tom Jones, great question. Tom Jones asked, I've met Ken before. Ken and I are actually buddies. We hang out periodically at this point. So meeting him to go do something was the fun part of it, not meeting Ken at this point. Tom Jones, very, very similar to my home setup. And I think that is one of the things that I liked about their particular setup, is that it was obtainable at the highest level that a sim racer would really like to run in their own home. I'm running a 4-post D-box. I'm running their new platform version instead of the 4 posts that you bolt onto the side of a profile chassis. I'll bring that video back up so we can see it as we play it, or as we talk about it. I'm going to turn my volume down so I can talk. So yeah, they're running SimuCube Pro wheels. They're running Cube Control wheels. They had the Ace-Tech pedals, which was my first time using them, which are for a guy who uses load cell and hydraulic pedals all the time, it was very easy to adapt to. So it only took me about 3-4 minutes to get adjusted to the spring and damper and load cell configuration they had going on. The whole setup was so close to what I'm running here that I was running within 90% of my skill level within, again, minutes. And I like that. It also, so these two that we were in had the motion. The other four there, they had 6 total, didn't have the motion, but they had all the same equipment. And I felt like, well, this is a worthy setup, the kind of setup that you would run. Like if you were new to sim racing and you got the bug, like, if you think back for yourself in time, whether you're talking about sim racing or any other hobby or something that you pursued for a while, at some point there is a moment, a transition moment. You're like, oh wow, I really dig this, right? Like I remember the first time I played disc golf, for example, and I'm like, wow, I really dig this. And I looked it up, and there are courses nearby, and it was like, next thing you know, I was buying discs left and right because I was really getting into it. It was that aha moment for me. And so you stumble into a sim center. Maybe you get invited by a friend. Maybe you went there for some kind of an event, or even a team building event through your company. Who knows how you stumble into a sim center, but that this would be the kind of rig that you'd sit into. And then when you got home and you start doing some investigating, you're like, hey, for $6,000, I could be in one of those non-static rigs. And now you have a realistic goal, and you can train and drive and enjoy something at that level you're striving for and build it up. So, did you see a Thrustmaster Insta, the first peek of the new DD wheel? We did have Sim Noob. I believe that was last week's. It might have been 2 weeks ago show. I can pull it up. We do have and I showed it in my Thrustmaster review. Let's finish the drive sims real quick, and then we'll come back to that if you remind me. I'll do my best to come back to that topic. But yeah, we did have a spy photo of what could be the new Thrustmaster DD wheel, the first wheel specifically built for the DD. Yeah, exactly, Tom. 6K is a lot, but it's not unreasonable. And also, you'd be on a path to maybe even, once you start doing your own searching, finding, maybe less expensive things to get you up and running sooner, right? So, I mean, these are top of the line. You could come in and plan something middle of the line, and then, maybe cut down your time at the place. Callum, I don't know about a lot less. A 4-post. I was adding up the total of everything, though. That was a Simucube base, a wheel rim, Asetek pedals, computer, monitors. I'm assuming the newbie walking into the Sim Center when I was making that comment or talking about it in that manner. So, but no, I don't think they are better than mine, by the way, to answer your question very point blank directly, Tom. Tom Jones, you have interest in hearing what I think about Gran Turismo? I'm putting a little quick video together on that, my thoughts. I keep finding myself compelled in writing a full review, and that's not what I want to do. I want to do a little recap of hanging out with Ken, doing the Sim Center, going into the movie, my thoughts and opinions on the movie real quick without turning it into I don't want to give away the story or anything. So, yeah, just slightly different. Yeah, so that's the thing that I am really, I'll give you guys a little. So right now I am sitting in Callum, this D box that I'm sitting in right now, the D box slash, the R-Seat / D-Box HFL4 platform. That's what I'm on. This is the modern version. I'm not sure if they still sell the literally 4 posts that go up and down like you saw in that video. I think you can still find them out there. I'm not sure if they're still making them. What Sim Center didn't have a premium shopping cart rig? SFX 1000 you can build for about $2,500. There you go. So this is $8,500. for this version here. Now, the beauty of this is it just, any rig will go. I can put my shopping cart rig on this. If I hadn't thrown away the shopping cart rig, I would do exactly that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you need all of that. Um, and we could get into, and maybe this is worthy of a video, what do you need versus what do you want? Sky Junior, as soon as I can get my hands on one. I've got two different places that are sending me P1000. I actually just sent an email this morning to inquire again. I am trying very hard. I'm dying to try out those pedals. Yeah, so Callum, that's the beauty. So this D-Box, the platform I'm on is like basically if you ever went to a movie theater and they had those like super duper premium seats that were motion sims with recliners on them, it was on one of these platforms or one very similar to this. So you can actually change the orientation of the motion from perpendicular to horizontal. And then you could actually put a couch on it and watch movies. And there are a bunch of movies that have motion profiles that were built for movie theaters. It's crazy what you could do with this thing. I'm using it for one of its abilities, which is sim racing, and it's been really cool. What I wanted to add to it, though, getting back to, and I'm trying to keep up with all your guys' great comments in chat, by the way. So again, you can build an SFX 100 motion sim for about $2,500, says Oldest. Thank you, Oldest. Well, skimp on the seat. The big mistake I think that sim racing is making, Tom, on seats is it's not skimping. They had Recaros. Weren't those Recaros on those, if I'm not mistaken? I'll play the video one more time. Yeah, look at these. So they're not, that's certainly not skimping. I just, I think it's a mistake for everybody to go to these fixed back racing seats. They all have a real lack of lumbar for comfort, and I understand that might be great for your spine for safety, but I don't, and when you're belted in, it might be a little more comfortable. But, I had to build up a pad here on my Sparko. When I drove those, if I was going to sit in the car any longer, I would have needed to add a lumbar pad or I would have been miserable. I would much prefer everyone went back to nice recliners. You think of the cost of a Recaro or a Sparko seat, you certainly can accommodate a decent reclining seat. It might not be Recaro brand at that point. I think they charge double for theirs, but it would be nice. Callum, so I'm going to give you where I'm at right now on the D-Box software. And I will admit one of the reasons I'm a little delayed in the review is I'm just enjoying driving it and playing with it and figuring it out. The documentation that I've been able to find has been difficult. The software is not very intuitive, so you kind of got to, there are areas where it's like, it helps you. Like when you load up a game, it's like, do this, and it gives you a checklist that you have to do one time to set it up. And then after that, it's all dialed in, and then you can make adjustments. All right, but yeah, it's kind of all over the place. It's not a one-stop shop for all the settings, and because it can do so many things like movie profiles, they're trying to do a lot of things. So comparing it to Thrustmaster's T818 software, I'm not going to say it's as hard as R Factor 2's user interface, but I'm not going to say it's as easy as the T818 software either. That's kind of my two ends of the spectrum there. Yeah, Caitlin, I wish I had saved it now that I think about it. It was just very recently. Okay, Dr. Ripper, great question, asks, and I think I've addressed this many a time. It's just hard to, find the moments when I've talked about this, but is there a benefit, and Joa, the Sim Magic line extensively, is there a benefit to the Alpha U over the Alpha if using the same peak torque level on the Alpha U. Now, if you're, yes, there is a benefit if you're using the peak torque level of the Alpha U, because that's the larger wheelbase. So this here is an R16, for example, and I run this at 75% of the motor's strength in the software, and then I end up only running it at about 6.8 on iRacing, as an example. That is well below the power of this wheel. I feel that there's an advantage to matching your wheel's Newton meters to probably about 25% stronger than the strength you actually want out of it. A little bit of overhead, but the bigger they make the motors, the stronger the magnets are, the more you need to start using more software to slow it down or speed it up. Excuse me. You have more internal moving mass, and you're spending more money than you need. So personally, if you run it at 10 Newton meters, I think getting a 12 to 16 Newton meter wheel base is the way to go. Optimal. There's no point in buying the larger. You're probably bringing in things that you don't need, including spending more money. Put it on your wheel rim instead. That's my 2 cents on that. Everybody has a different opinion. I'm not going to argue right and wrong, but yeah. So there's Joe's response is, yes, it runs cooler and the slew rate is faster. I'm not sure. So that one has a faster slew rate. Okay. Yeah, Dan, paying for a Recaro seat in the sim rig is always overkill. It's just sort of showy because it says Recaro. You know, no, most people, even non-car people, might even recognize. Oldest on a stationary rig and an RX-8. Now he has a Spark on Motion has a Sparko. Now, Oldest, are you on a full rig or a seat mover? So my other argument for a seat mover rig motion sim using a racing seat is for the holes, so that you can actually use seat belts to get the free benefit of spring-loaded brake tensioning devices. That's for a seat mover specific type setup. If you're on the entire platform, you don't have that same advantage. Now, there are recliners that have seatbelt holes, so it can still be done. Tom Jones, you never know. I don't have a lot of news, that's why I like. But again, I think that the whole point of this show, as we've seen this transition over the years, full rig. So yeah. But again, it keeps you a little more locked in. I understand that when getting in motion. And I didn't finish my previous thought. I have 2 previous thoughts to come back to. One of the experiences I'm dealing with the motion, or experiencing, not dealing with. And then the other is getting back to the T818 wheel. I haven't forgotten. My memory's not being sharp today. Okay, so let's start with the motion. The one thing that I love, and again, I still have one more. Yes, Tom Jones, you could, but I don't think that I would recommend a seat mover on top of a D-box. But if you remember, we did the Next Level Racing seat mover on top of their motion platform. Now, their motion platform is a traction loss, both front and rear, pivot sliders. So you have no up and down or tilting going on. You just have this pivoting happening, which is not a movement that the seat does. It has no twist action whatsoever. It has left, right, forward, and back. So the two work together fairly well. When you get to an entire platform, though, it would be double D-box. So it would be painful, yes, indeed. In Canada, it's only $300 more for the Alpha U over the Alpha. For you, it would be a no-brainer. For some people, if the Alpha U's already tapping their budget, that $300 is half the cost of a pretty high-quality wheel rim to go on top of it, though. That would be my other argument for coming in lower. And we aren't talking about a weak motor in just the Alpha. It's not like Dan DiMaggio, sorry. There are two things where cheap just doesn't work. Cheap motion is slow movement. When the movement doesn't match what your eyes and inner ears see, you are much more prone to motion sickness. And the other would be in VR. If your VR frame rate isn't adequate, if the panning isn't fast enough, it's also going to make you prone to motion sickness, which is too bad. So, and again, I'm still finding out. Has anybody seen Gran Turismo? Any thoughts on Gran Turismo? Before I forget that, I just want to poll you guys and see what you thought. I think that 4-post is more fun than traction loss. I can tell you that. Traction loss is awesome. Traction loss, when you're really dialed into it, can be super beneficial. Adds a real good realism in certain movements. And yet, even compared to a seat mover, a 4-post full moving sim has a certain fun factor that can't be beat. Okay, real quick, let me try to dig up our photo of the T818. It was David S. who got me the spy photo. I see Discord's doing the weird crap on me again. So this is super unofficial. But it's the one on the bottom is the unofficial version. So this is the real wheel. This is their replica wheel. And this is supposedly a version, I don't know what level of production, or prototyping it is. But yeah, we can't expect a wheel rim that looks something like that in the not too distant future from Thrustmaster specifically. Now, they are going to, believe it or not, I believe they are going to have a backward compatibility adapter available. I'm not sure if it'll be included with the wheel. But they are going to have a backward compatible adapter so that you could use that on a T300. So, SimNoob, if you can get me a link, I'd love to check it out. If you can get it in our Discord, that would be even better. Joa, you're probably right. I'm sure it will have plastic. Hey, Chobo, old ISR fan. Hey, thank you. Oh, man. You saw the movie, you enjoyed it, and after watching it made you want to start sim racing now that you have Mkini. I'm not sure what Mkini is. That's awesome, though. I love that. I think that's a great point of the movie. Don't tell you the ending? Okay, Joa, I won't give it away. Rigmount. Oldest, it's so funny you say that. I switched from the original Oculus to the Rift S. And I have to tell you, I miss the dual-mounted sensors. And I always felt that regardless of what others see, I just felt that it worked better when it came to the turning the head motion, which is so critical to my enjoyment of VR, no matter what I'm playing or what I'm doing. If you have a dot, if you have a dot, after 6 years in a motion rig, I will tell you, if you have a motion rig, do not, and if you have a bad back, I would not recommend a motion rig. I agree with that statement for the most part. So what I have, new Moza wheel. I saw it. We should cover that last week, Jonathan. I think it's interesting. we're probably not looking at those products until next year, by the way. 2024, I think, is when we're going to start seeing some of those new things we saw from Moza. I think will be... All right, all right. Last thought I was going to tell you. What I'm really loving, there are a few things I'm loving about the 4-post full platform mover in comparison to seat movers or traction loss simulators that I've run in the past. It's the up and down, aka heave, I believe is the motion. The up and down is really nice at times and gives you a really good sense of change in up and down momentum. The other thing is like chicanes, bumps. There is a certain, and I hate using this word because it's so, but I have to. There's a certain violence about a 4-post platform motion. There's a certain violence that is recreating the sensation of doing 100 miles an hour better than most motion sims that I've been on. And to me, that's a very important moment for immersion and what I love about motion itself. It isn't as dramatic in the left-right as a seat mover. It's not as dramatic in the traction loss because it doesn't move the rear end as a traction loss sim. So it has its lessers, but it has its plus as well. The other thing I can tell you is all your equipment staying together, rock solid, makes it very easy to jump in and get accustomed to. You don't have to think about it any. Anyway, I love it. I'm having too much fun. What can I say? Is it something you need? Arguable. Define needs. You know. Can a bed? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could, Joa, and I think there are profiles for movies. All right. Anything else before we move on to the news? We're at a half an hour. Violence. Well, I'm the one who's always argued for, I brought it up before, the old James Bond movie where they're playing that world domination. It was the Sean Connery era of James Bond. And him and Maximilian, I think, was the bad guy's name. And they're playing this laser game, like sort of like nuclear attack on the world. And they were getting shocks. When you lose territory, you get a shock. So you felt the pain, the suffering of the people who just, you've lost their lives, essentially. I've always felt that I don't mind there being a little consequence of our actions in sim racing. I have not tried the Sigma DK2/64 post motion sims. No, I have not. No VR, no buy, no 4-post, no buy. I have not put VR on with this rig yet. And I'm not sure I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to for the original review. I might do a secondary review that includes VR or specific to VR. Jay, so if you don't know, I've worked with CXE, and I've done a lot of work with, wait, that's only 2. So 3 Degree of Freedom, which is your third? So can you be more specific? I'm not super familiar with the sim. There are a lot of motion platforms out there. Is it a full platform with 3 degrees? So let me know. And in all fairness, D-Box makes a 2-post version of this platform also. So it wouldn't be able to put the whole thing up, but it can give you the feeling of up and down, and it can give you the other really nice effect on this is brake transition. It's not as strong as a seat mover in terms of feeling, but again, you're not being put into your steering wheel at the same time. Hey, Booth, it's so true. It's so true. It's built into my driving style. So seat movers are 2 degrees, right? Left, right, forward, back. I don't think diagonals count. You have no up and down, and you have no twist, and you have no, well, it's tilt this way, I guess, but it can't fully rotate. I always get confused when I try to add up axes of rotation. It's a little bit different than in a plane, because in a car we're just talking tilt left, right like this, front, back like this. Pro Simu rigs. Okay, let's pull them up real quick. I don't mind taking a little detour, go down this rabbit hole. Pro Simu. So, no, wait, this is not the one we're talking about. Yeah, that's 7. The training simulator with 7 or 8 actuators. Third is heave and a 4-post. Thank you, Jonathan. So, yeah, front, back, left, right, up, down. Get a bark collar and put it on your leg. Invite. How about that's my new coaching style, Joa? I've seen technology. I could sell the kit, and you could wear the kit at home, and I will work with you over the internet and train you. All right, so T100. Thank you. I was looking at that. Okay. Okay, so you've got traction loss. And okay, so you've got a front 2-post and a traction loss rear post. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong on this, because I'm just reading it on the fly. Looks like the front of the rig can go up and down, and then the back end of the rig swings left and right. That's cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Really cool. Cool concept. So, $4,600 for that. Now, that's cool, and I'm not knocking at all. And traction loss is super duper awesome. Again, I've done 2-post versions versus 4-post, and the amount of braking, which is one of the most. Let me tell you my favorite things about a motion sim. The first one absolutely is braking. So when I jump on the brakes and getting that sensation of forward G-forces, so it is just near impossible to create any kind of left or right G-force sensation out of a motion sim. End of story. However, under braking, you would swear you were feeling it at times, and I love that. Same thing with acceleration and getting the kick backward into your seat as well. That's where 4-post just has an amazing thing. The other is when you launch over curbing and you get that super realistic amount of up and down, it puts a smile on your face. Again, there are so many great things about simulators, and again, look at their ultimate. Their ultimate is not conceding to the fact that to do it right, you need all of them. You really do. And to do it super duper right, and we're not there yet, I do believe that you either need projection monitors or VR. And really VR is the way to go. But you need VR that doesn't, what they really need to do, if you really want to do it right, you need VR on like the Pimax level, but working great. You need it built into a helmet that has air conditioning in it. And then you need to get onto something like as much as a 7 actuator system But at that point, you would start to get your inner ear confusing your brain so massively that you would swear you were feeling all of the G-forces or a good amount of them. So, again, and that's why you see so many approaches to motion sims. They all methods have an Achilles heel because they're trying to do something rather impossible. I hate to say it. I'm sorry, D-Box and R-Seat. Sorry to say it. But we're all trying to do something that is impossible. Okay. Oh, and the other nice thing about this platform is if I change my rig tomorrow, like I love my tubular R-Seat, but if tomorrow I changed out to a profile style chassis, it would go on this. And it also has a massive payload. This thing can hold a good hefty amount. So there are advantages to each system. A lot of other systems have weight limit requirements. The seat mover ones in particular have like very small weight limits, I should say. Profile. So, but those actuators look strong enough to handle that extra weight, Jay. In my opinion, using those tower style actuators. Keep in mind, I saw a lot of people, I don't know how the software is. Like the software, we talked about the software on the D-Box. You can do a lot with it. It's not easy to use. I saw someone questioning the price of the Simucube Active pedal. And how would they charge $1,800 for just one actuator, which is essentially what the pedal is. It's a little more complicated. But it's not just the actuator. It's the design to make the pedal, an actuator, into a pedal. And then also, it's the software to drive it. A lot of what you're paying for is the engineering and the software engineering that went into creating that thing and how much the artist, feels they should be paid. It's not always 100% just what is the raw cost. That would act as though things just sort of got created out of thin air. It's so much math. I was not aware there's going to be any math on today's show. D1RG, how's life in San Diego, buddy? Excuse me. Excuse me. It also had a bladder in the lumbar region to simulate brake force and acceleration. I've used various things that done that. Actuator mounted ones. I've had servo mounted ones. I've had vibration activated ones. I have had bladder. I've actually used bladder controlled ones. My problem with a bladder system is if anybody out there has ever been involved in aquarium world, air pumps are notoriously high fail. I have never had an air pump that just was like reliable. So, yeah, well played, Booth. You've had enough trouble with bladder control these days. Wouldn't want to add another one to the mix. Oh, too funny. CXC motion equals best motion. Well, CXC charges a lot of money for a motion system that I can reproduce for a fraction of the cost. A lot of what CXC delivers the best of is a customer experience, a white glove service that, like, you don't have to figure a bunch of things out. You don't have to be a genius. They will deliver you a $1 million man cave worthy rig ready to go. And all you have to do is, get into your rig and press the button for Assetto Corsa in VR and it will turn it on. That is what you are paying for at CXC. Because honestly, if you think of like a sim experience or a lot of DIY kits out there, you can build a seat mover actuator system really inexpensive, actually. I could build a setup like that, You know, I could throw a profile chassis together and put a racing. You would need a racing seat there, sure. Get me a couple actuators and some software like a DIY kit from a Sim Experience. I could probably have something up and running. Well, I mean, they give you everything. They give you turnkey. I mean, giant monitors, monitor stands, shifters, handbrake, wheel rim options, hydraulic pedals, all of that. So when we're adding up the price of what you get at a CXC, it's really out there or up there, you know. And that's kind of what we were talking about on other things earlier. But you know, a budget variation could be done so easily. Yeah. I mean, well, and then the other is, are you willing to do the software engineering? Because a lot of the motion stuff is out there. You just need to learn how to do some software editing and, you know, maybe even build your own app to run, you know, actuator. You can find 2 actuators that'll move a seat for nothing if you looked on eBay or Craigslist or like Devin saying, dumpster dive behind like old assembly companies. Yeah, but the wiper, let's face it, the wiper motors suck. I know that's what a lot of people started the DIY craze with wiper motors, and I understood it when actuators were really hard to obtain and really expensive. But at this point, you can get actuators so inexpensively. Yeah, exactly. You can build all the software through SimHub. If I had the time, I could definitely build a quality motion system of any type. But I wouldn't have the time to do this show. It would make that be my number one only. But once you're done, it's up and running. So, yeah, and they're not very fast either, Tom Jones. So, all right. So this week, it was actually just yesterday that Amir put out our latest video. And let's get over the ad here. And what I love so much about this is Amir and I have different styles. So yes, we both are the Sim Pit characters. Yes, we're both putting out reviews and videos of sorts. But we have distinctly different styles. And for me, it makes it entertaining. Because I get to sit back and watch. Because Amir has his way, I have my way. And so I get to eat some popcorn and watch the video just like you guys do. And it's really very entertaining for me. So this is a cool video on the DDU Simutech DDU, I believe, digital display unit, I think. Is that digital dashboard unit? This is the Simutech SDU3 review that he did. Amir looks like a former football, like Tom Jones. Amir could be here. He'll kick your ass. Amir's a big dude, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but Amir is a big dude. Who's eating well, apparently. Is that what you're saying? Oh, I gotta uncross my legs here. I'm getting tight. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, I'd like to build myself a nice flight sim rig right about now. 6'3", 275. I don't think he's quite that heavy. I think he is 6'3". I don't think he's quite that heavy. I'm stalling to see if he's here to chime in and let us know. Yeah, I mean, price, it is. How not to play? To Inside Sim Racing? What you mean there, buddy? Yes, I used to be on Inside Sim Racing. Is that what you mean? Oh, whatever happened to Inside Sim Racing? I don't know the full story after I was no longer at Inside Sim Racing, but I understand it was sold off. And then there was an attempt to keep it running, which just kind of fizzled out. And then at some point there was a reboot, but it seemed like that was maybe more of Darren using it to promote his new venture, being the Sim Motion distributor for North America. So yeah, that's as much as I can tell you. Dan, so Dan, you've met Billy in person? That happened to me. When I met Billy, I thought he was gonna be. I thought you'd be bigger. What movie was that? I thought you'd be bigger. Was that Roundhouse? I thought you'd be bigger. Oh, Amir, 6'2", 220. You're welcome. How not? Welcome to the show. I hope you're having fun and enjoying it. So, we are all about the Pit Stop Friday at 9 a.m. We just cover the news. Other than that, SimPit is just kind of doing where I left off with the old show, and that being reviews, DIY, tutorials, all that good stuff. I'm huge. Roadhouse. I got it right. Amir's out deadlifting rigs. Great video, Amir. Amir, I was complimenting your style and how much I get to just be entertained watching. So that is what's going on at the Sim Pit. Both of us are working on other things, so you can expect more. And if you want to be part of our community, if you're new to the show, you're here watching for the first time, there is a link to our Discord channel. And a lot of things will come out there. You'll find out what's going on behind the scenes. I've been trying to post a few more things to our members area for people who are part of our patron team, showing them what's going on with like the Camus wheel. And today I'm going to do another picture of the motion rig in action as we move further along on that stuff. So, all right, what else? I think we talked about. I don't think we talked about this on last week's show. But it was a discussion in, speaking of, our Discord channel. So, anyway, Trading Paints had a invasion. What do you call it? I've lost my... Uh-oh, there it went. I've lost my mind. Luckily, I covered everything on my memory radar, I think. A breach. They had a data breach at Trading Paints. Anyway, if you use Trading Paints... and you had a password that was unique to Trading Paints, well, know that everybody has that password. And probably no harm, no foul. But if your Trading Paints password happens to be the same as your bank account, like mine was, well, you might want to change all your passwords. That's all I'm saying. They had an insertion. Jimmy Broadbent's hair is the actual car driver. Thank you, Jay. I am tenacious. So anyway, but yeah, in all seriousness, if your password at Trading Paints was a password that was used across the board, they have your email, they have your password potentially. You might want to do some cleanup work. I did do some cleanup work. I probably need to do more. Same as your luggage. Oh, yeah, this password. I had a little meltdown on Discord when the news came out. Because I finally came up with the most brilliant password in the world that I was capable of memorizing and using anytime, anywhere, and so I switched a lot of important things to it, and then immediately got back to it being breached, and it was like one of those ones that had one of those kind of characters, and it was like, you know, I put it through some security thing, and it said the best hackers in the world, it would take them 10 million years to hack it, and I'm like, cool, I love it, and now it's been compromised, so I'm kind of pissed off. I'm ready to pull the plug. I'm ready to pull the plug on everything. Pull my money out of the bank, bury it in my backyard, get rid of my internet, get rid of my phone, start making fire like this. I'm almost there. All right, Kern Raceway. We've talked about this coming to iRacing. How's your volume? That looks good. 4 different configurations at Kern. I drive past Kern, or used to drive past Kern, every time I'd be on my way to Buttonwillow. It's off to the west-hand side of the 5. And I've driven by this track and watched it grown over the decades. I remember it wasn't even there at all. Then it was the one oval, then it was two ovals, and it was two ovals and a dirt track, like motocross dirt track. Then it was three ovals. I mean, it's a whole racing facility at this point. 4 layouts on iRacing. Why is that as low as my volume will go? That is ridiculously loud. Paris would be great. Paris needs to be done. Historic Ascot, that'd be great. That'd be great as well. So, people who are part of the Southern California oval / dirt oval scene, no, Kern, it is very a popular track because of the facility and its ability. You can see the 5, by the way. Oh, was that the 5 freeway right there? Hold on, let's go full screen real quick. No, that's not the 5. Is that the 5? That could be the 5 right there. No, I think the 5's just a little further away. The 5 freeway is what I'm talking about. Runs from all the way up and down the state of California. All right, so another announcement on collaboration between the FIA and iRacing. And what we have here is iRacing and the FIA joined forces for FIA F4 Esport Regional Tour. And so this means more affiliations, and I wonder if this will affect, did you guys see the shots? I don't have it on today's show because it's not sim racing related, but we saw some pictures of the new F2 car, which looks pretty exciting. So yeah, another affiliation going on with iRacing and FIA. No, Tom, that's not the way it works out here. Anything else on iRacing? I think that's it. I know the championships are down. We're down to the end with the NASCAR Oval Series in iRacing. I don't have any news on that, but I believe we're going to declare a championship in the next not too distant future. I don't know the exact date. All right, we already talked about that. Now, I know, Booth, I get so many of those ads. I have no idea why. I was trying to count the other day. I need one of those baseball counters. But I purposely went on Facebook the other day, and I wanted to see how many ads were sponsored. See, Facebook now, they have sponsored and suggested. And it's like F you and F you again. But I was literally, I think, post, like, if one of my friends posted a picture of what they did, I literally think I'm getting 2 or 3 suggested or sponsored posts before I get a single post that a friend made. And that is nauseating. I'm done with it. I'm so. Anyway, and now, like, the Cheech and Chong. I mean, hey, everyone loves Cheech and Chong. But it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. All right. Motorsport Games, the owner of Studio 397, the owner and maker of several assets for the Motorsport Games portfolio, one of which being R-Factor 2, the other being the sole licensee of the Le Mans title. So when you remember when your favorite sim, if it wasn't R-Factor 2, lost the ability to host events called Le Mans or hold a track named Le Mans, we had to go back to old school naming kind of things. It was because the exclusive license held by Motorsport Games to make Le Mans. So what we are seeing, and this is an interesting time to be excited about a game coming from Motorsport Games, and at the same time we need to and want to be excited. So this is an interview this is actually posted at LeMansUltimate.com, and it is a little bit of an update and preview on the Le Mans Ultimate, which was announced as the centenary edition of the 24-hour Le Mans in June. So this is the game that's coming out, and a few tidbits of information that are really cool to hear about it. In this interview, we learn, obviously, it's following Le Mans series, so you're going to have those classes of cars. We also know that it's not going to be just Le Mans, the racetrack, but it will be the series, and we've already heard of other tracks like, my memory's failing me, but we did have a couple of tracks, Spa, and there was one other that they cited in particular, Fuji, I can't find it, but I know that was it. My memory came back. Also, we know it is Le Mans is about endurance racing. That is going to be the focus and the attention of the game. They've talked about more and better matchmaking being built into it, ability to even host your own races. They're talking about having multiplayer ranking, and so that it might, have proper kind of matchmaking as well. They talk about, and this is great, so getting back to endurance. Well, so many people want sprint racing. Well, they're going to have sprint racing mode, and you're going to earn points, and that'll even help you in your online points as well somehow. But they will have endurance racing, and they will have, and this is really cool, a co-op version of it. So whether you do it yourself, you pick your AI teammates, you pick your team, and you run the race, well, you can actually pause. So let's say you wanted to do the 24-hour Le Mans, but who's going to sit there for 24 hours, or you don't have the time? Cool. 4 hours into the race, you can hit save game and come back and finish later. Even better, you can join with a friend of yours, a real-life friend. So I and Amir could say, all right, we're going to take on the AI at a 95% AI level 24-hour Le Mans or 24-hour Spa race. I'll do 2, and then I'm going to hit pause, and then Amir can pick up at the 2-hour mark and run the next 2 hours and then hand it back to me for a co-op, offline, online, 24 hours of pick your favorite track. They talk about this being built on the R Factor 2 physics model, which you can say all you want about motorsport games. You could say all you want about the cumbersome UI and what it is to deal with R Factor 2. But there's no argument from the community that R Factor 2 has some of the best physics in the game. There's no argument from anybody that R Factor 2 could have one of the best tire models in the game. They're talking about updates to both of those features. They're talking about an easier to use user interface. So in what was just a simple interview, question and answer with Dom Doohan, who is the head of the game at this point, head of Studio 397, I should say, it is a lot to get excited about. I mean, I've been a huge lover of R Factor 2. I've always said that R Factor 2, pick your favorite or the best car track combo, and it's hard to argue any other Sims quality being any better or worse than that. They are one of the best, and so if they can put a great effort together, bundle it up into a game that can get more people involved in sim racing, make multiplayer racing easier, add some fun factor to, I'm sorry, but sim racing is dry. We are dry and we are boring compared to the gaming community. So maybe they can add a little fun factor and make it more approachable to the masses. They talked about different levels of ability and settings. So this could be pretty good. Yeah, well, and it's also a little bit of taking the license you can obtain and running with it a little bit. Yeah, I think they're pretty good at doing the overall engine, and I think that R Factor 2 needed R Factor 2. Let's be honest. Caitlin, is that why everyone wants rain? Because sim racing is so dry. Well, and that's so, Joe. I'm glad you said that. Hold that thought for one very, very moment. Yes, part of it might be taking market share from ACC, but getting back to what JC Chacon said, this also is ability to take what has been a nightmare that is R Factor 2. Let's just face it, R Factor 2, I think, is really under-delivered and under-obtained the greatness that it was capable of. The engine, the driving engine, the physics, so much of the game puts it on the level of the best, but so many Achilles heels, making it impossible for it to get the enthusiasm and the community that R Factor 1 had. I think it's really been an injustice to the game that they just haven't been able to take that game to the level of playability that we can just even make the argument to put it in that upper echelon. Yes, the game is, again, don't misunderstand my words, R Factor 2 is arguably one of the greatest Sims made. But it is so difficult that it prevents it from really being seen in that light by so many people. This, putting a proper limitation and boundaries, you know, hey, these cars and these cars, these are the two series. Here's the list of tracks. We haven't talked about modding. We haven't talked about outside forces. Taking it down to a very controlled level, maybe that's exactly what they needed to really utilize how great R Factor 2 really could be. Is that a fair assessment? Now, getting back to what Joa was saying, will motorsport games even be around? And what happens if motorsport games implodes? So we've seen the crazy valuations of motorsport games as a company. We've seen the stock rise and fall. We've seen various different lawsuits. We've seen walkouts. So many issues have gone on with motorsport games as they try to keep producing R Factor 2 and their other assets simultaneously. 2 motorsport games employees who filed a lawsuit against the company for unpaid wages have won their cases. So, not a lot of money, but $14,000 here, $10,000 there to a company that is you know, ISI is completely out. So John Samai and team, the group that was Image Space Incorporated, they are completely gone. They sold the company to 397, and that is that. That was that. None of them are involved whatsoever, as far as I know. So, anyway, but this is another in a series of many long series of things not going in the ways. This company is burning rate at a faster rate than it has. Motorsport Games reported the second quarter earnings for 2023. First quarter earnings were not good, by the way. Company posted losses of $8.2 million for the quarter. As of July 31st, they had just $1.4 million cash on hand. So, if you guys do the math, if you're capable of burning $8.2 million in 3 months, how long does 1.4 last you starting July 31st? Stephen Hood is the head, if I'm not mistaken, of Motorsport Games. And his lineage in Sims go back to the original F1 franchise. It was Paul Gilles and Stephen Hood were the heads of the very original, what was that, F1 2010? So, there's a potential, sources on a potential sale have told Insider Gaming that things are moving closer to a sale being completed. As far as the buyer goes, it's only been relayed that it's a known company. So what, are we primed for a EA? I'm going to guess it's a EA buyout in the works. So. Oh, currently, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was not for the entire company. That was for the NASCAR license specific. So we'll see. I don't know. Thank you for that clarification. So the original R Factor, the G Motor, I believe, engine is still the ownership of ISI. It was G Motor 2 that was sold with R Factor 2. ISI still has the rights to R Factor or that motor engine and are making professional sims for motorsport teams specifically. Rensport? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, all right, let's move along. Let's move it along. Race Room, just a quickie on this one. Free weekend, so they're doing an update. From today until the end of Tuesday, September 4th, they're carrying out essential maintenance on the Race Room store to fix issues that players have been experiencing over the last few months. During this period, all tracks and all cars will be free to play. So that carries until the 4th. Almost said the 9th. R Factor Pro. Yes, R Factor Pro. That is exactly what that was called at the time. That's all we had from Race Room. The curbs feel amazing. Speaking of, all right, fine. Let's hear what Jardier has to say. Yaroslav Ponzin.
To do some laps and check out the game.
Oh my god, there's so many things to look at. I'm like, instead of looking at a racetrack, I'm trying to look around to see the details, you know. There's a crane with the camera, there's the boards, the trees. I don't know if it's all about Unreal Engine, but it's just incredible detail. I must say the audio feels very interesting. Like, feels like
A bit more turning compared to BMW. The BMW was a bit of an understeer,
but the audio is kind of sliding around.
more like a mid-engine car with the track. There's so much detail, like the Unreal Engine. If you look at the fence, the boards, the lights, and everything, the yellow flag and green flag, there's just so much going on. That's really, really good.
All right, so there you go. As we await more detail on Run Sport. So this is. I talked about fun factor, and I don't want to get into a bashing Formula One. We all know what F1 23 is. We've even talked about our likes and dislikes of that here on the show. But fun factor. Yes, sim racing is boring, and I don't think it has to be. Racing is not boring. Sim racing is boring. You look at those feeds. I was talking earlier about the Twitter feeds, and it's just like promo after promo after promo of just a shot like this shot here. And I'm not knocking this, but I've seen 10,000 of this shot already this year. And it's a promo for the next esport event, whether it's a F1 Assetto Corsa, it could be rally racing, iRacing, NASCAR, Outlaws, it doesn't matter. They all do it, and they do it over and 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 over until the point of monotony, and it's exhausting to the point that I've forgotten my point. No, fun factor. Racing in real life is exciting because it goes back to the ABC wide world of sports. It is the thrill of victory, holding up trophy, spraying champagne, the trophy girls, forgive me for being a misogynist. It is the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. The guy who didn't win. And this is what is most important about sim racing, about racing, and what makes it exciting and thrilling. And this is something that I just feel outside of like Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport. Just the whole concept that you would get some kind of a trophy and accolades for your win, or even a silver or bronze. A trophy room. Painting a car should be more fun than just selecting a color and hitting a grid. There are just so many things that can be brought to the table to add fun factor to racing. Racing is racing. Once we're on the track, it just doesn't matter. We care about physics, engine, tire model, sounds, frame rates, field of view, peripheral support, all those things, sure. But the minute we're not on the track, everything else is very important. And when you wonder why shooter games are so successful, when you think about why sport games are so successful, it is the off-the-field moments that carry the game. Anyway, fun factor. Getting back to my point here. Scenario event. So this is something that F1 23 does. The Dutch Grand Prix. So part of that whole new world tour or whatever they're calling it. What do they call it? Another F1 World exclusive. They're giving you scenarios from where they're promoting and going on. So, here is the Dutch Grand Prix challenge where they have some scenario built on, well, because it's the Dutch Grand Prix that just went on. Or,
hey guys, it's Max, and welcome to Zandvoort and F1 23.
Turn 1 is a bank corner, you can brake really late. It's always very nice feeling, good grip.
Try to stay a bit on the right, and then you have to go really far on the outside because it gives you the best grip.
This is all flat out around here. You see the elevation change as well, it goes up. It's quite blind for the drivers up until this point. It's a very fast right-hand corner. The tires are getting really hot at this stage on the front.
Maximize the track left and right to have a really good entry here.
I'll tell you what, I'm reading your guys' topic. I don't know if you all want to hear some of the things that, like, I was thinking about this just the other day too, but it was the motion sim and the intensity that it brought that made me think, if we really, really want to get realism, and we all argue about certain things in realism, when you're doing 100 miles an hour, and it's so hard to describe what's going on in a car when you're doing 100 on a racetrack in particular, but there is this vibration, this roar without it being loud. It's so loud without being loud of that moment. And we don't allow any of that head movement or jitter. We have fixed views. And I really feel like if we're going to really focus on realism, there needs to be a certain amount of vibration. I told you all to turn your HDR lighting on iRacing off, because why fight the sun when nobody else is? They're gonna at some point have to start forcing the sun. So even if your graphics can't handle it, well, then you just get white glare instead of beautiful beams of sunshine. But you're going to be obstructed nonetheless. We start talking about realism and things we need. It's intensity. So somebody was talking about GTR, and one of the things that I remember about GTR for me was it had a little bit of intensity, and part of it was the audio at the time, comparing it to other sims. And I think that, like, iRacing is like weak sauce when it comes to audio, and it might be as physically correct and timing to the game as you want, but when it comes to what it does to my ears and how I feel in my rig, I don't think it does the moment justice. Anyway, getting back to challenges and things, can you beat Max Verstappen? This is F1 23. Beat Max in the special F1 World event from up till the 4th and unlock his helmet. These are the kind of things that I think add fun factor. I think that if iRacing, they have their active reset, so I know they have the ability to create certain things and serve it to you where it would load a scenario. I mean, it's got to be within the capability, but wouldn't it be awesome if we could have challenges, like beating the pros? There's Tommy Chong. So yeah, anyway, that's what's up there. I think that's all I had to say about that. Gran Turismo. Check this out. So Gran Turismo, the movie, we already talked about it. Well, I'll tell you, you would understand. So tell me the loudest thing tell me that somebody you care about silent treatment wasn't the loudest thing you ever heard in your life. That's my way of putting perspective on it. No, Call of Duty wheel. No. All right. So yeah, we were Gran Turismoing. I enjoyed the movie. I'm going to do a quickie review of it, so I'm going to probably be a little repetitive right here. It had every racing cliche that you would expect, right? They're just the go-to Hollywood cliches. They're all in there. I don't think they did the Academy justice. They had like Amelia Hartford and some other people. I think they could have played into that more, because part of racing movies is rivalry. And I don't think they built some of the characters up enough for me to have I wasn't compelled in the rivalry, so I didn't care about that. However, the story is still compelling, and even though we know the outcome, it was good, and there were some very fictitious turns in it, and there are some unbelievable things, whether you're coming from sim racing or not, you're like, that's not the way racing is. But here's the one thing, and you guys tell me I'm wrong about this, and I don't know if I'll even mention this much in the review, but why... And anybody who's raced in real life, please tell me and argue this with me. But I have spent 20 years being involved in amateur real-life racing, whether go-kart, lemons, racing schools, whatnot. I've been around it for 20 years now. And I know that I've had a conversation or two about the possibility of death or injury because racing is inherently dangerous. But why do movies act like the entire paddock lives under some kind of dark cloud of mourning 24/7, 365 days of the year? And even though every year somebody does die in racing, when you consider how many people race every weekend, it's not. Actually, I would argue football is probably 10 times more dangerous than racing. So why does Hollywood act as though racing and mourning the death and the possibility of death is so friggin' normal? Because again, I've spent thousands of hours in paddocks, and I've never seen or felt this doom and gloom that every racing movie seems to act as though is imminent. Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? Anyway, they did it in Gran Turismo too. They do it in every racing movie, it seems. Okay, so the other thing, getting back to that call of, and there are a bunch of videos all over the place. Yeah, they throw so many twists, and maybe this is because racing is dry. They just, like, in this movie, you had a weak love story. You had a really good father-son story, family story. You had a decent racing story. You had really weak. You had two different rivals. One that became rival turned teammate, rival to the bitter end. You had tragedy to overcome. I mean, you had all of them. You had the Fast and the Furious magically shifting into gear for more speed. And then you just had a little bit of stuff that made you as a real racer or sim racer kind of roll your eyes a little bit. And you're like, nah. Yeah, no doubt, JC. I haven't thrown down the challenge, but I'm sure that is not an easy win to win. And I don't think Max Verstappen is the kind of guy to back it down to make it easier on you. Now, I don't think he did 24 hours of practice to set up. I think he's just inherently fast. Probably ran a handful of laps and then lay down a time that would be hard for most to beat. The other is, I know we will a car to go faster, but it doesn't even benefit. How many times we've been, come on, right? But it doesn't actually do anything. It came down to, did you set the other car up well? Did you use the draft well? Did you maximize exit speed off the corner? That's it. And there is no, oh my God, if I just try harder, the car will go faster. Well, if you hit your marks better, sure. But the car doesn't respond to your wishing it to go faster. It requires you to lay down the skill. Dupes a hazard. All right, so the Call of Duty. So this is to honor the movie. BAPE. Do you know what BAPE X or BAPE Bape is, B-A-P-E. Bape and Fanatic have designed a special GTDD wheel, and it's part of the GTDD Pro sweepstakes. I'm going to give you guys a link. You might as well enter this. This would be a cool win. Boom. Okay, there we go. They're only making 20 of these, and sign in your PlayStation.com account, so you do need to have a PlayStation account. But a bathing ape, that's Bape. So there you go. You could win this combo. Yep, there you go. And that's all I have to say about that. All right, Forza. They've been rolling out tracks, so I'm getting these on my phone feed. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, I did miss one thing. Fanatic has been, you guys... Where'd it go? Wait, where'd my Fanatic go? Hey, what happened? Fanatic has been doing some bundles, so... A lot of guys gave me a hard time because when Sim Magic and Moza were starting to come in with some lower prices, I totally feel like I made statements saying that they are bringing down the price on direct drive wheels. Hey, Billy, I thought you'd be bigger. I'm sorry. Fanatic has reacted, and now they're creating some bundles and giving you some pricing that is a little bit more attractive than their former pricing. And it is totally a reaction, I think, to the pricing that Sim Magic and Moza have created with in the case of the Moza, with their bundles that are blatantly going right after the jugular of Fanatic. Anyway, this is the first new thing I've seen out of Fanatic in the longest of time. No, Billy, I'm sorry, you missed the beginning of the show. We were commenting on how giant Amir was, and I think it was Dan who said, Amir is so much bigger than I thought he would be, and then Billy was smaller than I thought he would be. I'm just admitting I'm 5 foot nothing and 100 and nothing, so there's no mystery here. I am a little guy. Billy towers over me. Billy's a big guy in my world. I just get to play with you guys and your humor. So this is the CSL Universal Hub V2. So 9 new steering wheel bundles for an unbeatable price tag. Excuse me. Yeah, Amir is 6'2". He gave his weight 215. Is that what he said earlier? We got a report on it. QR2 remains the Fanatic basement. Yeah, well, Fanatic's the company that it bothers me, but so, I'm gonna go, I'm sorry, Fanatic. I love what you guys have done. Yeah, 5'8", 175. So Billy's actually quite normal. No, the thing is, Billy, when I met you, I thought, just from watching and talking to you, I thought you were going to be like Amir's size. When I really, seriously, no BS, when I met you, when we first met, I thought you were like a really big dude. I thought, Billy Strain, big dude. And then you were like normal size. So that was my actual reaction. And again, it's the Roadhouse line of... I thought you'd be bigger. Covering Igor Fraga, Formula, the Dutch GP, bundle pricing, Fanatic GT World Challenge. I guess if you have to pay for it, you have to talk about it. Talking about upgrading just Fanatic Igor. Bundles. Anyway, other than announcing their bundles, it's just about eSport and Igor and the GT World Championship, and it's been forever since we've seen anything new from Fanatic until today, which is great, because if this is them turning the corner and getting back to making some sim gear, It's got to be your voice, Billy. You have a really deep voice. And so I think your voice, like, I think my voice being the way it is, nobody thinks that they're going to run into some 6-foot dude. It's got to be the voice. 2035 hashtag soon. All right, SimuCube. So last month they had Will Ford from Boosted Media visit the studio, or the SimuCube Discord, I should say. So they've been doing that with more and more known entities in sim racing, and it looks like they have something coming up soon. So here's an invite, and if you go to the Discord Twitter page, you'll be able to get a link there to the SimuCube Discord page and find out who their next guest in the Discord channel is going to be. Some shots from Fanatics. So we talked about the truck wheel and other stuff. That looks like the R3 bundle. That is an R3 bundle. And anyway, they're just kind of reminiscing. That looks like an R21 with an FSR rim. That looks like an R12 with the KSR rim. That looks like another R3. So some shots. We did have some shots. I'll go back and get you the shots if they don't show them here. Did they have them on here? Here we go. So this is some of the new stuff we were talking about. The Bentley Fanatic copy from Moza. And we're looking at, no, I'm not, I don't think I'm the guest. I haven't been invited, so I don't think I am the guest. Or they're getting putting the cart before the horse. And I believe this is the truck wheel people are referring to it, but I mean that looks like a standard car wheel to me. It looks like just what you'd put in a car. I guess it is kind of trucky with the flat. Yeah, it's good and open for drifting, huh? And yeah, so good stuff. New stuff though. You guys don't hold your breath. I talked to them. We're probably looking at 2024 for a lot of those new items. So, all right, last thing, then we're going to move on to a few others. Cooler Master announcing. Did you guys see this? This is the Cooler Masters getting into sim racing gear. So this is the Cooler Master rig. Look at that. Look at the way you change the angle of the whole platform back here. Cooler Master, the computer company, is now making specific buttons for trucking. That'll be good. So many people play truck sim, and I bet that would make a great farm sim wheel as well. I think I was thinking farm sim when I was looking at it and saying that's not a truck sim wheel. I wasn't thinking ATS. Anyway, that is the new Cooler Master rig that we're going to be looking to. We have a price on this thing. What? 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 I'm assuming this whole setup, I'm assuming, not just the rig on its own, because they're saying $20,000 to $25,000. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, you guys. Let's see here. What do we got? What do we got left to cover today? Let's talk about a couple links I forgot to get onto the show. My Discord isn't cooperating. So our rally guys have been doing some fun racing in the off season. So it looks like David S. beats out Ola Sarnquist, GT99, finishing in third at Catamarca. Something in Spain, maybe? And with that, I think our standings are as we were looking at. So, one event. So we have a 3-race fun series. There is a link in the description of the show to our Discord channel. In our Discord, you will find a thread for our Rally League, and you can get involved 2 more races to go, or 2 more weeks to go, I should say, in the Rally League before we start up a new season. Okay, now let's get to announcements. The SimPit Road Series has been on hiatus. I think we're having a fun race this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I'll do my best to join. I got to start prepping for my trip. I'm leaving town on the 11th. But what we are looking at here is the Simpit Road Series. It's reincarnation or restart. We're going to have 2 classes. We will have a beginner and a pro, or a amateur and a pro division. Amateurs running in the Porsche GT3 class, and pros running in the LMP class. We are going to have a great looking schedule. Watkins Glen, Daytona, Road America, Aragon, Sebring, Interlagos, Spa, Nürburgring, Monza, and Circuit de la Sarthe to finish things up. Things are going to start off September 24th. If you already, Mira, can you remind me? I'm trying to read up and find out. I think that if you were in the series last season, you will move forward and already be in it. If you would like to join the series, you're going to need to get into our Discord. There is a spot in the announcement section. There's a spot in our road section with all the information you need. You'll need to head over to thesimpit.com and apply to be in the series. No. I am going on I'm doing an adventure ride, Joa, just to make this correct and not let anyone think what you're thinking. There'll be no mugshot. No, I'm doing another adventure ride. So last year we went all the way up to Washington, if you remember. This year we're doing, we're going to go from here towards Mammoth or Bishop, California. And then we're going to go backward on the California BDR 865. And I think it's halfway to 4 that you're within like just a few miles of the Nevada BDR. So then we're going to jump across to Nevada, and then I think it's like 5, 6, and 7 of Nevada side BDR, and then come back home through the Bay Area. So that is the a Coke Run. No. It's an adventure motorcycle ride. I'll be gone for about a week. All the league details that I talked about are in our Discord, and if you're already part of the league, then you're already in there. And we are doing a fun race and practice races. So, someday, Dan, one of these days I will make it all the way over there. One of my plans is to do a cross-country trip at some point. I'm not sure it's going to be on this bike. I'm not sure if it's on this bike or... I'm screwing everything up. I'm trying to move me. There we go. Is that better, Amir? It might be when when we get enough budget out of the show, I will get a new bike someday. But right now I don't know if my little bike is the bike to ride all the way across the country. I appreciate it. We'll need a place at that point. I'll be very sick of camping and need of a shower and proper lodging, Dan. So don't be surprised if I take you up on that. Careful what you wish for or ask for. All right. So, I'm wondering if I should... I have my camera in the bottom left because it means that I'd be looking in the right direction. I'm wondering if I should just flip all this around. Yeah, Max isn't going to be thrilled. My brother's not thrilled. So, all right. What else? Let's look at some rigs. We're really to the end of the show, you guys. Holy crap, it's 10:30. We are way long. Way long. All right, finally entering sim racing. There's a nice starter package. A little fold-up rig with the 920. You're going to win some races. That's all I need. That and food and some conversation. Let's see. Paid 80 euros. That's a great setup for 80 euros. Wow, that's crazy. New to racing. Wheel. This is amazing. You might want to upgrade, but good for you getting a wheel. P1000. I'm looking forward to getting some of those in and giving them a try. Again, I sent the email out. I had 2 different places working on getting me a set, and it's failed. We're working on it. Everyone's getting their P1000s, apparently. So, GT Omega doesn't fit in your old TV. Cool, cool, cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right, yep. You know, this channel isn't as... It used to be so much more DIY stuff. Now it's a lot of just post, you know, your generic setup. Or they'd be more elaborate game caves. Now it's like, oh, here's my brand new setup. Yeah, it's true. I got to my limit too. All right, you guys. That is going to do it for today's show. If you haven't seen it already, get over to the Sim Pit, or you're already here, but get into the new videos section and check out that video. Oh, it's going to play a commercial. Then, oh, that's not even the right one. Hold on. Let me get this right. There we go. Check out that new Simutech SDU3 review. Over the weekend, I have a couple of little shows that I'm trying to get out. These will just be for the fun of it. They're not as good or as serious like Mirror's review here, but I do have a SubiFest video, just a few minutes of footage and show you what was going on. And then I also will have a recap of last Friday's fun at Drive Sims and Gran Turismo with Ken. And same thing, not too long, just a little thoughts and opinions on how it all was. So hopefully that'll keep you entertained over the week. And then Thursday, I'm sure we'll have a new video out as well. Just got to figure out which video it's going to be exactly. But that is going to do it for this one. I want to thank you all for being part of the Pit Stop Fridays. Just kicking off the weekend, talking about what is going on in sim racing. We had some great conversation at the beginning on motion sims. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So thank you all for your input on that. And we'll try to keep more of that going on the Friday show, especially when we're light on news. That's how we end up at an hour and a half. So great topic. And I'm sure we'll talk about that and VR and other things in the not too distant future. So get out there, do some sim race, and have yourselves a great weekend. This is the Sim Pit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.